Greetings and welcome back to Doctor Who Revisited, where I go through every single episode of Doctor Who from 1963 all the way to 2025 and review them. And now we are on to the fifth part of the Key to Time season, the fifth segment of the Key to Time, The Power of Kroll. I I'm not a fan of this episode. I don't know what to tell you. I don't like it. Robert Holmes, who usually never lets me down, kind of let me down with this one. I'm usually like the biggest champion of Robert Holmes written stories. I think he's one of the best Doctor Who writers of all time. Definitely in the top five. But he just did not do it for me this time around. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's a familiar Doctor Who type of story. The base under siege, oppressor versus oppressed, uh, different world, different mythology, a huge lived in world with different elements, uh, in hinting at a much wider story that could be expanded upon. I just didn't like it. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's pretty basic, pretty self explanatory. I mean, it has all the good elements to it. I should, by all accounts, like this episode a lot. The evil character, Farah, who's basically his whole character motivations is he's a racist capitalist who wants to exterminate the native population of the moon that they're on and exploit their natural resources for profit. That is a typical Doctor Who villain. And then there's the typical the natives being oppressed, who I am not a fan of. I mean, I love the makeup work. I mean, just thinking about how these people had to sit there for hours while they were basically painting pretty much their entire body with green makeup and green paint and that stupid woolen beanie that they had on their head to simulate their swampy hair. I mean, just thinking about that is impressive enough on its own, and they shot a lot of this episode on location at a very difficult place to shoot. Hence, they don't even have K9 in this episode because it's practically impossible to bring K9 on this episode. They found a clever way of actually inserting John Leeson into the episode as one of the human characters, which I can only assume was, it was part of John Leeson's contract that he had to be in every serial. Otherwise, why the hell was this character even in it? And I mean, the character was nice. I mean, he's the only one of the human characters in this episode I actually like, because he's the only one with an actual moral compass. But I really just could not connect with any of the characters in this episode. Not the ones at the rig, not any of the swamp people, and not the guy who was the arms dealer, who I get his story. There's clearly more to his character than this episode shows us. And I'm wondering, since I talked a lot about the novelization of Androids of Tara in my previous review, how much I loved the episode and how much reading, or rather listening to the novelization of that episode, made me appreciate this episode even more. So much so that after rewatching that episode last time, I actually went back and re-listened to that audio and loved it even more so because there are so many things from that novelization I forgot about. Maybe the novelization of this episode actually explores a whole lot more, because there's just so much that this episode throws at you that is left underdeveloped. Like the whole Sons of Earth thing, which could have been vastly explored, and the whole mythology behind Kroll. There's definitely so much potential there. It's like this episode really, every time this episode feels like there's so much that could be done with it, they don't go too much with it, which kind of annoys me in many ways. But like, again, I just feel like this episode has more to offer than what is actually being shown on screen. I don't particularly think any of the fight scenes were anything um anything to be impressed by. None of the sets really impressed me. I love the location filming, but that's about as far as it goes. The character of Kroll, or rather the design of Kroll, never seemed that impressive to me. I mean, it is, or rather, was canonically the largest Doctor Who monster of all time until, of course, Ring of Akatin shows up. But, I mean, it was, I guess it must have been impressive at its time, but to me, it's always been that one awkward episode that's part of the Key to Time season that just exists, and that you have to watch it to get to the final one. I don't even think that the the mystery surrounding the segment of the Key to Time was too engaging. I mean, when the Doctor is on that torture table and he's talking to that one swamp person about the power of Kroll, where that came from. I mean, it was pretty obvious that that's the segment right off the bat, and clearly the Doctor knew that. Obviously, I think the whole storyline of the segment is kind of, left on a bit of it on the sideline, which is ironic because I've been saying about all these episodes so far that for the most part, none of them really have that big of a focus on the segment. I mean, case in point, the last one, Romana just basically finds it within the first 5 minutes of the episode, and then the rest of the episode just flows. I mean, the episode is allowed to go, and it only really becomes important by the end when the Doctor goes back to Madame Lambia's lab and snatches the segment so they can go back. And this episode, there's slightly more focus on the segment, but it's in a really boring episode, in my opinion, so it really doesn't matter how much focus they gave to the segment. Again, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to say. This episode bores me to sleep. I literally fell asleep towards the end of part 4 and had to go back and rewatch some of the scenes I've missed. Yeah, I will say some of the scenes where the people are being snatched by Kroll's tentacles look decent, I guess. But I guess, the main swamp person and his blind devotion to Kroll, the deity, as sort of a commentary of how people revere their gods or whatever, and no matter what their supposed deity does to them, they always see it as a test, or they always see everything as a sign. And it's the type of things from the real world that I don't like about certain people, especially like the hyper religious zealot people. It's like, I don't like seeing that in real life. I'm definitely not gonna like seeing that in a Doctor Who episode, I guess. But I guess, I don't know what to tell you. I'm literally just wasting time trying to find stuff to talk about so that this review could be at least longer than 10 minutes. But again, I don't know what to tell you. None of the human characters interest me. None of the non-human characters interest me. Again, the story, but beyond what we see in the episode, seems to be the more interesting part. But I guess I'll have to read/listen to the novelization of the episode to really get the full picture. It's a shame they couldn't really fit all of that into the episode, but I guess the real world has its limitations at times. Anyway, I guess the torture scene was pretty cool. I mean, trying to guess how the Doctor and Romana and that other guy were going to get out of there. In typical sci-fi fashion, the Doctor just comes up with a power that he has that he never mentioned having, And there's a scene in the earlier episode where Romana just drops the tracer, and the Doctor somehow just picks it up, and we never really see that happen. It was always weird. I always thought that was weird that he just happens to pick it up, because they really do point the camera on the thing, lets you know that it's a very important plot point that she dropped the tracer somewhere in the wilderness, somewhere in the swamp, and then the Doctor just has it in another scene. So yeah, lots of complicated stuff lots of weird stuff about this episode that I don't like too much. But it's an episode, and it gives us the fifth segment, so we can go right into the finale. And hopefully we'll like the last one. I do know I do prefer this the last episode to this one greatly for a lot of different reasons, but yeah, the power of Kroll. Let me know what you think about it, because I do not care for this episode too much anyway. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one for the finale. Goodbye. Hi there. Thank you for watching the video. And if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends. I'll see you next time.